What is up, my dad bod sculptors? Good morning, good evening. Welcome to episode 27. Tonight, I'm going to talk about something that's really personal to me, and that's my children. My 9-year-old and my 6-year-old mean the world to me, along with my wife. But I noticed a couple of years ago that my 9-year-old, who was 6 at the time, he was studying me. Not my words, not my lectures about eating healthy or being strong or sticking through discomfort, but he was studying my actions. He was literally watching how I treated my body, and most importantly, he got to see that when nobody was looking. And I started to quickly realize that my habits are caught, they are not taught. He saw when I skipped breakfast, he saw when I pounded coffee, he saw when I had outbursts. He noticed when I complained. He noticed when I reacted emotionally. He noticed when I scrolled on my phone throughout dinner. These little guys observe everything. So he observes me talking about getting in shape while also having another cocktail at dinner. And this was a pattern of mine in the beginning of my journey when I was trying to get this right. I kept thinking, well, I want to be able to teach him to have standards, but I'm not having standards in this area of my life. So how am I going to be able to do that? And if you guys have kids, sons, daughters, they are forming a blueprint for what it takes to be a man or to be with a man. So today we're going to talk about the most important audience for your transformation or for your journey. And that is the little eyes that are always watching, and the mind that's learning what normal looks like. This is super important because you're not just building your body, my guy. You guys are building your future relationship with discipline, with self-respect, with what it means to take care of your body. This is really important for the people that are in your circle. Okay, my son and your son, they're learning what normal looks like from us. Your son doesn't know that being tired all the time isn't normal. To him, that's just what dads are like. Tired, out of breath, complaining about their back, complaining they need to relax. He doesn't know that struggling to keep up at the playground isn't part of being an adult. To him, that's just what happens when guys get older. Now, I had my kids when I was 36, my first one, so now I'm 47, and I've got a 9 and a 6-year-old, right? So it was a little bit later in life. These guys don't know that I'm older, right? But if I didn't make these changes years ago, oh, they would certainly know, right? He doesn't know that avoiding mirrors and feeling uncomfortable in my own skin isn't inevitable, because this was something that was very prevalent in the years that the first couple of years that he was here, right? So to him, that's just how grown-ups feel about themselves. So you're not just modeling your current state, guys. You are programming his expectations for his future. When he's 35, he'll think it's normal to be 30 pounds overweight, to have beers a couple of times a week, to have no energy after work, to avoid physical activity because they're too hard, to make excuses instead of making changes, to be problem-oriented instead of being solution-oriented, start things and quit when they get difficult, get comfortable and turn on the tube after work. Or he'll think it's normal to take care of your body, which is a sign of self-respect. Have energy to play with your kids after a long day. Be present at the dinner table. Follow through on commitments that you make to these guys. Choose long-term health over short-term convenience. If you can't do it for yourself, we've got to be able to do it for them. We need to be strong, reliable men, not only for our children, but for our family. They count on us. When we take on that responsibility and we say, I do, and then we marry somebody and provide and protect, or at least give that commitment, and then we bring children into the world in that relationship, that is our duty. It is our absolute duty. But it doesn't end there, just to provide and protect, right? What version are you really teaching? Oh, that's my only role, and that's where standards and discipline starts and ends? No, you want to be a guy that where your actions are louder than your words. Where it's not something that you decide to do, it's something that's part of you. You can tell these guys health is important all day long, but if he sees you eating junk food, skipping workouts, making excuses, what do you think he's actually going to learn? There is going to be somebody that he'll catch eyes on and see that he's actually fit, and he will have a contrast. Sooner or later, we can't put blindfolds on kids forever. They will find a hero. They will idolize somebody. Eventually, somebody in the neighborhood, somebody at the school, one of the teachers, they start watching YouTube, they start watching Hollywood films. Sooner or later, they're going to catch a hero. Why not be you? Right? You can't lecture, or you can lecture about discipline and hard work, but if he watches you quit at every program after 2 weeks, what blueprint is he building for persistence? You can talk about the importance of taking care of yourself, but if he sees you treating your body like a garbage disposal, what is he learning about self-respect? Kids don't listen to what you say. They watch what you do. I learned that, and I preach it because it's so important. A lot of times I'm talking to myself when I want to make a bad decision or I want to do something that I know they're going to see. It's like, no. Habits are caught. They're not taught. He's going to be curious about why I'm doing this. And that's why I gave up alcohol. It was a very powerful moment. I took on this identity to say that I was a bodybuilder when I was in the beginning stages of my journey because I was eating differently. I was training frequently. I was making different decisions than everybody else. And he would ask, why are you eating that, Dad? Or why are you watching that? I said, Daddy wants to be a bodybuilder. He didn't know what a recruiter was or a business owner, right? So I just wanted to give him a simple association that I was somebody that needed to have these disciplines and have this self-control because I wanted to build my body. And then one day when I went to have a margarita, my son turned to me and said, what's a margarita, Dad? I said, oh, it's alcohol. It's an adult beverage. And he said, do bodybuilders drink alcohol? And I said, no, they don't. But I had a decision there. I could have said, well, shit, he got me, right? Or I could start backpedaling and saying, well, they don't, but they do sometimes. I knew damn well bodybuilders don't drink alcohol. It stops fat burning and it stops muscle building. They just don't touch it. So if I took on this new identity and told them that I was that thing, now I'm going to go against that word? No. He was watching, and he held me to it. And then about a month later, I went to order another one, and from down the table, he said, Dad, bodybuilders don't drink alcohol. And right there, I knew that's it. The days of alcohol are done because I'm not going to unwind this. I'm going to stick to my commitment. And years, 45 years on this planet, and let's say more than 25 years, I was drinking alcohol, and I was lukewarm when I wanted to quit. Those two interactions with my son made me never, ever have a desire to touch alcohol again. That's how powerful it was. And right now, what you're doing is teaching him that it's okay to make promises to yourself and break them. I wanted my son to say, like, no, I made this promise to myself, and I'm not going to break it. I'm not going to go back on it. Because then he's going to say, well, he really shifted on that. Your health isn't worth 30 minutes of effort. It's not worth compromising the trust that your children have in you. Feeling bad about yourself is just part of being an adult. Real men don't prioritize their well-being. Taking care of your body is selfish or vain. These are all the old myths and beliefs that we probably grew up with. My parents weren't in shape. Their friends weren't in shape, right? And it was like, I'm just not, that contrast showed me I don't want to be that for my kids. I love my parents. I love what they gave me. But there are parts that I don't want to carry forward in my house. I want their heart. I want their empathy. I want their generosity, but I don't want their habits. I don't want their decisions in food. I don't want their decisions in breaking promises. So that's the lesson that I want to teach you guys, because every single day you don't change, you're teaching it louder and clearer to your children. So what does transformation really teach? What transformation really teaches these guys is that when you decide to get your shit together, here's what your son learns. And I just recently had a mastermind. I'm going to take a pause and kind of go to side off. We interviewed the people that came to the mastermind, the clients, about what the transformation was and why it was important to them and what they learned. And the videographer actually pulled my kids in and interviewed them. And man, it was just a beautiful thing to watch when my editor gave me this piece of content of what dad bods meant to my kids and what my mission was and why it was important and how it's changed them and what they now know. Man, it brought me to tears. I was just so emotional because it was so impactful that I didn't tell them these things. They these were their words from their experience, from their observation. And that was the greatest thing that a man could ask for, is that they're picking up the right things. They know that the mission is bigger than the man. They know that it's important to take care of yourself. They know that it's important to prioritize your health, because when you do that, you can take care of the people you love. And so I want to teach you guys that, because when you have it, you'll never, ever want to break it. So how do we do that? Well, as men, we need to honor their commitments, especially to themselves. You guys, you need to honor the commitments that you make. You need to keep your word to yourself. When you say you're going to work out, it can work out. When you commit to eating better, you follow through. He learns that a man's word means something. And we as men get in this pattern where we don't even trust our word to ourselves, because we've been breaking it for so many years. So if you don't recognize that, then guess what? Your son will observe it. Your daughter will observe it. And they will eventually say, if he can't keep his word to himself, how can I trust that he's going to keep it to me? This was something I picked up from my parents. I knew that my mother didn't keep her word to herself. And eventually, by the time I was 18 or 19, I had zero trust in her word. I was like, well, she breaks her promises to herself all the time. How do I know I can count on this? And I couldn't. And it created all sorts of issues for me, where I have a hard time asking for help, because I don't trust that people will actually help. That's why it's so important that I created the person that I needed most in my journey and made that the offering. It comes from a lot of the background that I had. So taking care of yourself, guys, regardless of what anybody tells you or the story they try to preach you, it is not selfish. It is responsible. You cannot pour from an empty cup. By prioritizing your health, you're teaching your children that self-care is part of taking care of others. 100%. Hard things are absolutely worth doing. He watches you choose the difficult, the right over the easy wrong. He learns that comfort isn't the goal, growth is. My children, every night they go to bed, and it's 7 o'clock, I come in here and I record this podcast. Every night like clockwork. They know it's part of the routine. They ask me how the podcast is doing. They look at it. They're interested. And I say, it's 1% better than yesterday. It's 1% better than yesterday. When they go to Jiu-Jitsu and they do a 3-hour training camp, all I say is, how was camp? Great. Did we get 1% better? Yeah. Was it fun? No. But did you grow? Yes. Now they're starting to accept at an early age. Building something great, chasing something unattainable isn't comfortable, but it's growth, and it's rewarding, and it's fulfilling. You're going to suffer one way or the other, so you might as well suffer chasing something that you want. You can't change anything if you're willing to do the work. You can change anything if you're willing to do the work. Instead of being a victim of genetics or age or circumstance or partners or anything, become the friggin' author of your own story. He's going to learn that he has more control than he thinks. Show him how to write his own story. Everything is attainable when you put the right effort and intentionality behind it, and support it with a great mindset, and dial in habits that allow you to control the controllable. That's all we can do. If you're well-intended, you will trust that they will land in the right spot. And if not, they will grow. They will grow to another plateau, to another level. So put in the work. Real strength isn't about looking tough. It's about doing work that needs to be done. Day after day, workout after workout, meal after meal. Our kids are learning that consistency is the real superpower. I tell them that all the time. I stack one meal on top of the next, one day on top of another. And slowly but surely momentum builds. And it's that consistency that makes me better than everybody else, because I'm no better than anyone else. My habits are better than most. My consistency is better than most. And that's the superpower. And I teach my kids, you're not the biggest, you're not the fastest, you're not the strongest. But your consistency, your ability to do the work is what's important. And why can I say that? Because I live it. So it gives me leverage. And that's who I want my kids to be. I do this so that they push themselves, so that they don't limit themselves. And I can only do that if I'm a man of integrity and I know I'm living this, I'm breathing this, so I can preach this. Discipline, guys, it is a gift you give yourself. and your family. For years, I avoided discipline. It is the single greatest gift I ever gave to myself, hands down. Hands down. My wife will tell you it's sexy as fuck. My kids will tell you it's rewarding because they know who's showing up every single day. Your energy, your confidence, your presence, they improve when you take care of yourself, guys. Our kids learn that personal discipline serves everyone that we love. We show up better for them. The dad our kids need versus the dad you're being. Make sure that those two are the same guy. Your son needs a dad who can keep up with him at the park without getting winded, who has energy to play after work instead of collapsing on the couch, who models what it looks like to be strong and confident, to be different, to not accept average, to not be mediocre, to not be an emotional mess and respond with yelling and anger and shortness. This is talking to myself here. This is who I was. I started showing up and taking care of my body, and a lot of other things got fixed in my life. Fitness was the gateway to building a better version of myself. So demonstrate that quitting just isn't an option no matter how hard it gets. And if you guys don't have kids, I would highly encourage you. Soccer, football, baseball, these are all great, but they're fleeting. You put them in jiu-jitsu, it will teach them all of these things. And jiu-jitsu stays with them forever. They will never outgrow it. Very few people are going to go into the pros in any one of these sports teams. Yes, it's great for camaraderie and playing sports, but it's fleeting. It won't be with them when they're 25, 30. Jiu-jitsu will in all of the lessons. So I highly recommend, guys, if you have boys, put them in jiu-jitsu. It will teach them on how to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So if you're honest, are you being the dad who sits on the sidelines because he's too tired or out of shape? Are you being the dad who promises to play later but never has the energy? I've been guilty of that, 100%. I could always do better there. It's not that I don't have the energy. For me, it's about the time. I'm so focused in so many different tasks and so many different areas in building something that is serving a much greater purpose than myself that sometimes it's time for me where I'm like later. And my wife has to remind me that I've got to make time for them. That's what it's for. But they observe me working hard. And so I tell myself sometimes, they see me working hard. They see me trying to help men. They see me trying to build a platform to reach more people. And that's okay. And I always try to justify it in my mind, but they still want my time. They still want my presence. So every night I spend 2 hours with them, whether it's at their jiu-jitsu class where I take them, I sit with them, I drive them back, we all have dinner together. I don't always go out and play. It's not because I don't have the energy or I can't be winded. It's just because the time aspect. But I'm very conscious about making time for them every morning and every evening. And whenever my door opens up, I'm always stopping and saying and trying to be present with them. So be that guy. Be better than that guy. The dad who complains about his body but won't do anything about it is just, I don't know. Don't take this the wrong way, guys, but he's just a loser. It's just enough is enough. Like, do something about it, guy. Right? Like, do something about it. Take action. If your son was sitting in front of a challenge and he just complained about it all day long but did nothing about it, what would you tell him? Would you just say, yeah, I just forget it then? No. You'd start preaching. You'd start getting excited. Just do it, damn it. Well, have that conversation with yourself. I know it's a tough one to have, but have it with yourself. Be the dad that starts things and finishes them. Don't be the dad who makes excuses instead of making changes. I talk to so many dads. I'm very limited now. I'm very protective of my time. But, I can't give up drinking because it's too much of a social thing. I don't want to eat something different at the dinner table with my kids. It was a barbecue and I wanted my kids. You think your kids are going to remember that shit? Oh, my dad was the best because he ate the hot dog and he ate the chicken nuggets and the mac and cheese with me all the time. He was a real dad's dad. That ain't the shit they remember, guys. Did you sit down at the dinner table with them? They don't give a shit what's on your plate. Eat what's good for you, which is going to allow you to be a better person for them. They're not like, oh, Dad, here he goes again. He's not eating the chicken nuggets and the mac and cheese. What a terrible dad. And oh, he's not having another drink. Oh, look at him. He's too good for everybody. Yeah? So? I want more? You're going to judge me for that? Well, maybe you're in the wrong circle. Because I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to impress upon the fact that I'm going to keep my word to myself because my kids are watching. My wife is watching. Who gives a shit what Johnny down the fucking street has to say about you having a cocktail at the 4th of July picnic? You? That's your problem. That's your problem, guy. You should be caring more about what your kids are seeing and witnessing than what so-and-so thinks at the company retreat because you're not having 15 drinks with him like last year. It just amazes me that people do this. It's like, when are you going to grow up? Have you not had enough experiences with alcohol in your life that you still need to have this thing in? What are you looking for a new experience? Because you're just having ones that you've already had for the last 15 or 20 years. It doesn't change. The outcome is the outcome. So I'm very passionate about that because you're passing that on to your children. Your son doesn't need you to be perfect, but he does need you to try. He needs to see what it looks like when a man decides to improve himself and follow through and keep going, even when it gets tough. When it gets tough, man, I call my kids into the room and I will teach them, hey, daddy's not winning right now. I am struggling. I am frustrated because of this, this, and this. But you know what? I'm not getting up. This is when everybody else leaves. This is when other people throw in the towel. This is when we lock in, we reset, and we go. So when I tell you in life, when you're uncomfortable, you don't want to do anything, I want you to think of this moment. I want to get up. I don't want to be here. I want to go do the easy thing right now, but I'm not. It's a great chance to give the kids a teachable moment. And they will absorb it. Because right now, your child, your son, is building his internal blueprint for what kind of man he's going to become. And that blueprint is 100% based on you. And if it's not based on you because you're not the hero or the idol, it's going to be based off of Hollywood. People that they see on TV. People that they see in the streets. People that they see at school. Somebody is impressing upon your children. Most importantly, it should be you, and it should be impressing upon good habits, good behavior, modeling that you want them to be. The legacy that you're building, I want you to think about that for a second. In 20 years, your son will be a man. Will he be the kind of man that takes care of his body because his dad taught him that self-respect matters? Is he somebody that has the discipline to see difficult things through because he watched you do it? He knew, oh, this was what my dad talked about. This is what he prepared me for. He told me when I wanted to quit, that's when everyone else quits. This is when I go. This is when I push. 1% better. This is what he meant all those years. Is he somebody that prioritizes his health so that he can be present with his family? Because that's what he learned was normal. All these things are going to do what? Attract the right people to him. So he'll have better friends. He'll have better jobs. He'll have better employees. He'll have a better partner, a better wife. Because he has standards. And he learned how to set those standards from the ones you taught him. Or will he be the kind of man who struggles with his weight because he learned that's just what men do? This is an area we work. We don't take care of ourselves. We work. We provide. We start things and we quit them because that's the pattern I observed from my dad. He did it. Why not I? His dad did it. That's something I highly encourage you to stop. Right? You want your son feeling uncomfortable in his own skin because he learned that that's normal for men? That's what I was giving my son. I was always uncomfortable in my own skin. That was coming out in the way that I treated my wife. That was coming out in the way that I treated myself. That was coming out the way that I responded to my kids when they wanted something from me or they weren't doing as I said. So you have got to realize, I encourage you, man, your transformation isn't just about you. It is about breaking generational patterns of poor health, low energy, and giving up when things get hard. When you do this for yourself, it will have generational impact in a good way. You will set the standard for your son and his son and the people around him. It's showing that the next generation what's possible when a man decides to honor his body and his commitments. That's where it starts. You've got to show them that. Every rep you do, every healthy meal you eat, every morning you choose discipline over comfort, you are not just changing your body. It is so not about that. You are changing his future. That is what it's about. It was never about aesthetics for me or vanity. I wanted to feel good in my own skin, but I knew because when I felt good in my own skin, I was going to be able to be the person they needed. I wasn't going to be in my head all the time with the negative self-talk and just there but not there. You've got to start being the example today. Your kid is watching. Your daughter is watching. Your son is watching. They're watching right now. They've been watching. Show them what it takes to look and lead like a man. Keep your promises to yourself. Choose long-term health over this short-term comfort. Enough, guys. The world is so short-term, at least in your own body, in your own temple. Be long-term. Do hard things because they're worth doing. Take care of your body. It's an act of love. If you can't love yourself, how are you going to love other people? Oh, well, I love my wife. I love my kids. I'll do anything for them. Yeah, then get healthy. Then get fucking healthy. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to start. And then you got to keep going. You got to start and you don't stop. Because the man he becomes will be shaped by the man he's watching you become. That's got to register for you. It has to. And if you're okay with that, I mean, I don't even know how to respond to that. I want to say something, but it's probably not appropriate. You shouldn't be okay with that. Okay? And the way that I'm speaking to you guys, this was how I spoke to myself when I decided to make the decision. I had to have this tough conversation. Are you okay with if you don't make these changes, Dane, in 3 years, this is who you are for them? And if you don't make changes then, in 6 years, this is who you are for them. You piece of shit. Is this who you want to be for them? Because you don't want to get comfortable. You don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to learn how to be intentional with your food. Is this really worth the trade-off that's going to happen in 3, 6, 9, 12 years when your kids realize what the F you are doing in your lack of intentionality or lack of self-discipline? And immediately it was a dagger. It was like, no, I'm not going to accept that. So I'm encouraging you guys to have that level of intensity. Your son is building his blueprint for manhood right now. And you are the architect. You are. You're showing him what is and what is not possible. Every choice you make is teaching him what it means to be a man. Every workout is a lesson in discipline. Every healthy meal is a lesson in self-respect. They are watching. You can give him the greatest gift a father can give. And the example of a man who decided to better himself and follow through is the single greatest gift you can give your children. Your son is watching, guys. Make it worth watching. Until next time, burn the excuses, build the man, be the standard. I'm out. Thanks for listening.